Hello class, welcome again. This is the lecture number 15 you can see, and this lecture is totally dedicated to one of the question asked by one of the student in comment box. That is what is Ostwald-Walker method to calculating the relative lowering of vapor pressure. I earlier mentioned, and today also, this topic is not in a CBSE board syllabus, but we will try to explain this topic on the behalf of the question asked by the one of the student, but also this topic is important for your competitions. So don't worry, just take a knowledge of this topic and complete this topic and try to understand this topic and further your competitions. Ostwald-Walker dynamic method. Actually, this is based on the gas saturation method, which experimentally calculate the value of relative lowering of vapor pressure, which the formula is already given by the Mr. Raoults, but this method is useful for how to calculate lowering of vapor pressure experimentally, and for that I am going to explain that also. The same lecture I will try to conclude the one of the important topic, that is called osmotic pressure, means reverse osmosis, and the upcoming next lecture is just will based on the abnormal molar mass, that will introduce in the same in this lecture also, and Vanta factor. So this lecture and the lecture number 16 will conclude this whole chapter. Then we'll again go through the numerical section, the NCERT exercise. Student, next three more lectures actually will conclude this whole chapter. Lecture number 15, 16, 17, 18. So total 18 lecture. I am just making a 18 lecture for the whole this solution chapter. That is one of the most important chapter in physical chemistry class 12. And the same way, there are some theoretical concept, and the last some of the lecture was based on the numerical section. Upcoming some lecture will be based on the numerical section. So try to first learn the all theoretical topic, then we'll go through the numerical part. Okay, let's start the topic. Ostwald and Walker method, actually they just taken a solution and solvent in a separate vessel and connected by delivery tube, in which they pass actually dry gas, which is absorbed by the after the one of the drying agent called calcium chloride anhydrous, or you can take concentrated sulfuric acid also. So what is the weight loss in the different vessel? On the basis of that, he calculated the value of pressure released, the decreased value, weight loss, and what is the property between them, what is the relationship between them. All the things actually he calculated. Let's see the experimental. Actually, he just taken first one of the vessel having some solution, one of the vessel having some solution, one of the vessel having the same pure solvent. Then he just taken one of the U tube containing anhydrous calcium chloride, either anhydrous and calcium chloride, and then dry gas is released out. So first we'll try to add the dry gas in the solution first. Then there is delivery of delivery tube. Next, then delivery tube is actually connected with U tube having anhydrous calcium chloride. Anhydrous calcium chloride. Student, this is actually solution. This is a pure solvent. This is calcium chloride anhydrous. We have as a drying agent which actually absorb the moisture from the air, calcium chloride. The calcium chloride should be anhydrous. Anhydrous calcium chloride, and from this side again the dry gas released out. And from this side dry gas is entered. This is about the whole setup. This is about the whole setup. This is called delivery tube. All these which actually just take the vapor formed here. Okay, fine. Student, this is the setup of Ostwald-Walker dynamic method, and you can see that from this method that there is when we enter the dry gas, the solution having some vapor present over the solution, which is just absorbed by the dry gas, and there is a mixing of dry gas. Dry gas means there is absence of moisture already, and that dry gas then mixed with the some of the moisture present over the solution because of the solvent is volatile, which will produce the vapor here, that is called a P. I'm taking here P, the vapor pressure of the solution. That vapor pressure of the solution mixed by the dry gas, and dry gas become weighted. Before the experiment, all these vessels or bulbs are already weighted. All these are weighed, solution, solvent and calcium chloride. And after the experiment, they also will be again the same. We are going to for weighing for the all these vessels and bulbs. So dry gas then mixed with the vapor. Suppose some of the vapors are mixed with the dry gas, that will delivered out from this solution vessel, and there is some weight loss in the solution because some of the vapors are just going with the dry gas, so there will be some weight loss now. There will be some weight loss. So let's try. The weight loss in the solution is like weight loss. Weight loss is like the W1. Okay, I'm mentioning W1. W1 is a weight loss in a solution vessel, and dry gas is actually mixed with P. Dry gas is mixed with P. P is the vapor pressure saturated in the dry gas due to the solution vessel. Okay. Now the dry gas when entered in this vessel, this dry gas is already having some of the vapor of the solution, which is actually proportional to or equal to the P and proportional to the weight loss of a W1. Some still vapors are mixed to the upcoming air having some of the vapor of solution and dry gas. So the air entered here is already having dry gas plus P, and some of the vapor are mixed in the dry air, and that will delivered out. So what is the amount of vapor mixed here? The saturation of the solvent level, the vapor saturation is called actually pure condition. So there will be P naught now. There will be P naught, and P naught is always greater than P. You are knowing that P naught is a pure condition vapor of a solvent, which is always greater than the vapor of the solution, because here is some non-volatile solute is already added. So the dry gas, what amount of dry gas having now vapor, that is equal to the P naught minus P. Here is P naught, here is P, and now the dry gas is having actually P naught minus P, because P is already having with the dry gas. So what amount of vapor is absorbed or mixed with dry gas, that should be equal to the P naught minus P. So here the weight loss is suppose equal to the W2. Weight loss is just suppose equal to the W2. So now the total vapor which is mixed with dry gas is equal to the P vapor from here and P naught minus P vapor from here. So total vapor which is mixed in a dry air, that is actually should be equal to P plus P naught minus P. P naught minus P equal to P naught means total vapor mixed with dry air is actually saturation level of the dry air which is mixed with the sum of the vapor is must be equal to the P naught, because from the first vessel dry air mixed with the vapor from that is called P, and from the second vessel the dry air mixed with the vapor called P naught minus P. Total vapor which is mixed with dry air is actually called P plus P naught minus P equal to P naught, and weight loss in the first vessel is equal to the W1, weight loss in the second vessel suppose equal to the W2, and now when air entered in the calcium chloride which is actually absorb all the vapors, and again there will be dry gas is released out, dry gas is going out. So dry gas is entered and dry gas is come out. So total weight loss which is equal to the W1 plus W2 is absorbed by calcium chloride. So calcium chloride absorbed weight equal to W1 plus W2. The calcium chloride absorbed weight equal to W1 plus W2. Because that is equal to the weight loss in the both the vessels W1 and W2. You can say that W1 is proportional to P, because P vapor absorbed by dry air which must be proportional to W1. So you can say that P proportional to W1, and vapor mixed in the second vessel is P naught minus P, which must be proportional to W2, and total vapor, that is actually P naught. The total vapor is actually P naught. So W1 plus W2, which is a total weight loss, must be proportional to the total vapor which is actually P naught, So you can say that W1 plus W2 must be proportional to total vapor, that is P naught. P naught minus P proportional to W2, and P proportional to W1. So relative lowering is what is the total weight loss by the vessel ratio with what was the weight loss by solvent, that is W2. So you can see here the P naught minus P, when we divide this equation with this equation, we are having actually a relative lowering. Then relative lowering is actually equal to the P naught minus P upon P naught, which is must be equal to the W2 upon W1 plus W2. So student, it is very clear from the given diagram, the relative lowering of vapor pressure is actually the relation of vapor pressure loss by when dry air enters from solution to solvent, that is P naught minus P, and total vapor pressure already present in pure solvent, that is P naught. Total vapor present in the pure solvent, that is P naught. The relation between them is actually called relative lowering of vapor pressure, and from the experiment you can see that must be equal to the W2 upon W1 plus W2. That is called relative lowering of vapor pressure. So this is about the Ostwald-Walker explanation about the relative lowering of vapor pressure. We are just having a use of dry gas from two different vessels. Then one is having a solution, the other one having a solvent. And what is the weight loss in the solution vessel, solvent vessel, and what is the relationship of that weight loss with the vapor mixed with dry air, and the total vapor or total weight loss is actually called that relative lowering of vapor pressure, which is experimentally proved by Ostwald and Walker dynamic method, is also called gas saturation method, because the dry gas which is saturated here with the vapor present, which already again saturated here, vapor present in the solvent case. This is all about. If there is still any problem, just ask me about that, then we'll again explain in another sense. Now I'm going to start the one of the important topic, that is called reverse osmosis. That is called reverse osmosis here only. Reverse osmosis. Student, actually always we are having solvent, a pure solvent and solution, pure solvent and solution. This is actually pure solvent. This is called a solution level, and here is a solvent coming out. Solvent coming out. This is a flow. This is called SPM. This is called SPM. So student, actually osmosis means flow of water molecule from the higher concentration of water to the lower concentration of water. So osmosis actually stand here the flow of water where the water is high and where is the water is low. So from higher to lower there is a flow of water called osmosis. Fine. And osmosis actually is the one of the tendency to equalize the osmotic pressure. One of the tendency to equalize the osmotic pressure between two different solutions, which is actually separated by semi-permeable membrane. Semi-permeable membrane. So there is a tendency of equalization of concentration of both the solution, because of there is a difference of osmotic pressure. Always the sum of the solute particle which is present in any solution is having tendency to strike on the surface of wall or a surface of SPM, due to which there is a exert a pressure called osmotic pressure. So osmotic pressure, if there is any difference of osmotic pressure, there must be flow of water or flow of solvent. Okay, if there is a equal osmotic pressure, there is no any flow of net flow of solvent. But what is about reverse osmosis? Reverse osmosis is the actually when we are having some synthetic pressure, we are having some experimental pressure from the outside. When we applied external pressure and the nature of osmosis is going reversed, the nature of osmosis get reversed, that is called reverse osmosis. So what is osmosis? Osmosis is flow of water from higher concentration of water to lower concentration of water. Just now going to reverse. What is reverse osmosis? Flow of water from higher concentration of solution to lower concentration of solution, means where the water is in a low quantity and where is water is a high quantity. Now the flow will be from a concentrated solution to the diluted solution. Always. For example, this is suppose is a solution This is, now suppose is a solution and this is one is a highly diluted. Suppose I'm taking water of a oceans or sea, which is actually concentrated because of the presence of different soluble salt called saline water. So this is a saline water having a concentration because of the soluble salt. When separated by SPM and contact with the pure water, so according to osmosis, water must be flow from this side, from the pure water to the solution level. But when we applied a pressure more than osmotic pressure, when we applied a pressure more than osmotic pressure, because there is a flow up because of the difference of osmotic pressure, so that osmotic pressure is actually responsible for flow of water molecule from this side, pure solvent side, to the solution side. But suppose we are experimentally externally applied higher pressure than a osmotic pressure, then the same process will get reversed. The same process will get reversed, and now the water flow from the solution side, from the saline water side to the pure water side. And that will be case how we actually going to clean the saline water through experimentally, through a practically method. Actually, this is one of the method to purification of water. The purification of water, because here the concentrated saline water just release pure water through the SPM and water is collected out. And this can be done only when we applied a external pressure greater than the osmotic pressure. So when the external pressure is greater than osmotic pressure and we applied the same pressure on the solution side, the osmosis get reversed and always water flow from the concentrated solution side to the diluted side and water is coming out. Water is coming out. That is called a reverse osmosis. That is called a reverse osmosis. I am having some of the example of reverse osmosis. You have to be note down these examples because this is one of the most important examples. Because when we applied external pressure from the outside, actually SPM should be a synthetic that can bear a high pressure. Because SPM can be destroyed when we apply a high pressure. Okay, so SPM must be made of, which is actually used in those nowadays, that is a polymeth acrylate. The polymeth acrylate and polyamide polymers, which is actually have been introduced as SPM nowadays, that can bear a pressure of about 15 to 40 kilogram meter square. Can you really believe this is a high pressure, very very high pressure, that can be bear by a polymeth acrylate and polyamide polymers, which is actually used in nowadays during a purification of water from a oceans or sea. 15 to 40 kilogram centimeter square pressure can be applied by this SPM. So this is all about okay. Now I am having some of the other questions based on some of the other relationship based on the osmotic pressure. You have to be note down. Suppose in any question, if there are two different solution which is mixed, two solution mixed having a different osmotic pressure and same solute is same, but two different solution which is going to mixed having a different osmotic pressure, then resultant osmotic pressure can be evaluated by dilution formula like a pi 1 b1 plus pi 2 v2 equal to resultant pi called pi r b1 plus v2. Please note down this formula. Because this formula is applicable when two different solution having a different osmotic pressure but same solute mixed together, and you have to be called what is a resultant osmotic pressure, that can be calculated by this formula. pi 1 B1 plus pi 2 B2 equal to pi R, resultant osmotic pressure B1 plus B2. And another question is here, relationship is here. Let N1 and N2 are the number of moles of two different solutes. If suppose solutes are different, and the number of moles of solutes are N1 plus N2, then the resultant pi, the osmotic pressure on mixing of two different solutions having different solute with a number of moles N1 and N2, then the pi will be pi equal to pi 1 plus pi 2 and plus equal to N1 I1 RT upon B1 plus B2 and plus N2 I2 RT upon B1 plus B2, where I1 and I2 are actually a Van't factor that will be explained in the next lecture. In the next lecture, we'll explain about the Van't factor. So this is about the when two different solutions are mixed having a different solute with a number of moles are N1 and N2. Van't factors are I1 and I2 with a same temperature with volume V1 and V2. Then what is the resultant osmotic pressure? That is pi. So pi equal to N1 I1 RT upon V1 plus V2 plus N2 I2 RT upon V1 plus V2. That can be calculated for a different mixture of a two solution if you want to calculate the osmotic pressure. So student, this is all about the osmotic pressure, reverse osmosis and Ostwald-Walker method. Will explain about the last topic of this chapter, that is called abnormal molar mass of solute and Van't factor correction in colligative properties in next lecture number 16, totally dedicated by on Van't factor. Okay, thank you.